Hey, how's it going, guys? And welcome back to another Stock Kings YouTube video. And today we'll be going over Tattooed Chef, ticker symbol TTCF. Now, this is a stock in the plant-based food industry, and it's a very popular, high potential growth stock. And they actually just released their Q4 earnings and their 2020 full year financial results last night after market hours. And we'll be getting into that in a little bit later in the video. We'll be talking kind of what those numbers mean and how it's going to affect the stock, and then we'll be going into some technical analysis on this stock, and I'll be charting out some potential plays that you guys could possibly make to get in on this stock. But before we do any of that, if you're interested in this stock, go ahead, give a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you know whenever we come out with a new video. And I also have my Instagram link down below if you would be interested in that. I post new details on this channel on my Instagram daily, so if you're interested in that, check that out. But let's get right into this chart. We're here on the daily chart here on Tattooed Chef, and just kind of giving a little commentary on what's happened in past price action. We've kind of been dipping, ebbing, and flowing. We kind of have a bounce back here off of the 50 and 200 to come up here, bounce again off the 50 to come up to our all-time highs of around 28.72. So that's kind of the peak of this stock, and then we kind of have a big downturn, broke through the 50, bounce off this 200 EMA, so that's kind of showing us that's a strong support. We then have our second bounce off of that, break up through the 50, kind of consolidate in this range, and then recently this is kind of mirrored the overall market's kind of cracked back down and bounced off this 200 EMA again a third time. So that kind of shows us really how strong this kind of support is. One thing I do want to point out is we have consistently kind of broken right through this 50 EMA. We have one kind of bounce here. I mean, we broke it several times, but we break solid down, solid back up, and now we're coming back up into this again. Guys, I think it's not as strong as a resistance as the 200 EMA. So I just wanted to point that out. And going into earnings, we also look like we've had a significant little run up here recently in the past couple of days, bouncing off this 200 EMA. We came up all the way to a high of 21.92, and it looks like today in the pre-market here on March 10th, it looks like we're going to be down a little bit. Excuse me, March 11th. So it looks like we're going to be pre-market opening a little below at 2025, but that's to be expected. People will be selling off the news coming off of this earnings release. I talk about that all the time. Just because earnings are coming out and they are healthy does not mean the stock is usually going up. People usually sell the news. They want to get in at or get out at a higher price, running up to earnings around the hype. So just so you guys are aware of that. But let's get into these kind of Q4 results. Right here we have Tattooed Chef reports fourth quarter and full year 2020 financial results. Recorded quarterly branded sales of 24 million. Branded sales exceeded private label for first year in company history, reaffirms 2021 outlook. So with that title, we're breaking records already before we even get into the numbers, guys. It's looking pretty good. But at the beginning, let's get some words from the CEO and management of TTCF. So the CEO says, "We are pleased with our solid financial results for the fourth quarter and full year 2020, driven by record sales of our Tattooed Chef branded products." And this is by Sam Galetti. He is the president and CEO. "We are also successfully executing on our growth strategy and have kept the momentum going with a strong start to 2021. Based on current retailer commitments, we will increase store count by 41%. And that's huge. Getting into more stores, that's huge, super big for them to increase that revenue. And points of distribution of Tattooed Chef branded products by 35% by the end of the first quarter. We have a long runway for growth, particularly in conventional food retailers, and are thrilled with our early success." Now, if you guys are bullish on this kind of industry, Tattooed Chef is kind of really one of the beginning people in this industry, which I think is a huge bullish thing for them that they have going, is that they are one of the first people to get in on this kind of plant-based food, sorry. But yeah, that's super good, and I honestly really like this industry. I really like this stock. But let's get into Sarah Galetti, who is the Creative Officer and also the tattooed chef. And she adds, the success of our brand is attributable to our ability to connect with consumers through our food. We are revolutionizing the way people think about plant-based food and disrupting, keyword, the frozen aisle with a differentiated offering. We ended 2020 with 38 branded SKUs and have a pipeline of 150 plant-based ideas we can't wait to share with the world. So that's super good. And I pointed out the word disrupting for all the Kathy Wood people out there. This is a company that is definitely disrupting the food space, coming out with super healthy foods, plant-based foods, and I think there is going to be a big market for this. But yeah, if you are a big Kathy Wood person, ARK Invest, this is a disruptor that you should be looking into if you are not already. But, those are all great. We heard words from CEO and the tattooed chef, and they of course, are going to talk good about the company. But let's get really into the numbers. Let's dive deeper and let's look at these financial highlights. So these are the financial highlights for Q4 compared to the Q4 in 2019. So they have a revenue was 39.6 million, and this is a 48% increase compared to a 26.8 million in the prior year. Their branded revenue was a record 23.9 million, as an increase of 172% compared to an 8.8 million. So it's already obvious that their revenue is growing exponentially. They also have a deal with Target. They will be getting into Target retail stores, which is huge. I think that is going to definitely bring up their revenue, and it looks like they are a high growth company. If you are just comparing revenue from Q4 2019 to Q4 2020, we're seeing huge increases in that revenue, which is great for the company looking forward. Now, moving on to net income, which was around 41.5 million compared to a net income of 2.2 million in the prior period. Wow, that is incredible, guys. 41.5 compared to 2.2. That's amazing. The current period net income included a one-time tax benefit resulting from the company's change, blah, blah, blah. So let's get into EBITDA a little bit. We have adjusted EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, was 3.7 million or 9% of revenue compared to a 2.2 million or 8% revenue. So that's not an increase, but it's definitely an increase, guys. I want to point that out. As long as they are growing, and it looks like they are growing rapidly, we're looking very good. Let's get into these full year results. So they have a revenue for the year 2020 was 148.5 million, a 75% increase compared to an 84.9 million. So that could just kind of shows you guys the kind of money that this company is bringing in on the year. They're bringing about almost 150 mil compared to about 85 million the prior year 2020. And they're also increasing their branded product revenue as a record 84 million, a 363% increase compared to the 18.3 million the prior year, which is huge. Net income 45 million compared to 5.6 million. That is huge, increasing that net income exponentially, guys. That is amazing. I love to see net income. That just shows how well this company is, and they have very healthy financials. I love to see that from a company that I am interested in. An adjusted EBITDA was 9.6 million or 6% of revenue compared to 6.9 million or 8% of revenue. So that is increasing just a smaller percentage of revenue. But let's look a little bit into the cash on hand. That's important for these high growth companies. You want to see them, having some extra cash to improve the business. If they are going to be a high growth company, they're going to need cash to increase production, increase, sales. It's very important for these companies to keep that growing, keep that momentum going. But as of December 31st, 2020, the company had cash and cash equivalents of 131.6 million, as previously announced, including the cash proceeds from the exercise of public warrants. The company's total cash balance was approximately 200 million as of February 2020. February 22nd, 2021. So they definitely have cash on hand to spend, looking at around 200 million to reinvest in the business and keep this momentum going, keep that high growth up. We love to see it from a company that is looking to disrupt the food industry, which is particularly one very difficult. But I think that with this idea and this company with these healthy financials, this is definitely something that I am looking into moving forward. But enough of this. Let's get into some technical analysis on this stock. Looking here on the daily chart again, let's kind of chart out some support and resistance lines. So it looks like we are coming back down towards this kind of 1 or 200 EMA. I like to keep my support lines here based on this candle. It's kind of in the same area. However, we could look for a rejection off the 200 if it keeps going up. And then let's look for our next support. I know I talked about earlier, it's not a very strong support or resistance, but let's be wary of it in this area just in case. I would look to take partial profits in that area anyway. So we're looking there. If it does come back down to test this now support here around the 200 EMA or 1895, that's going to be some great value, I think, in this company moving forward with those healthy financial results. We'll get a dip from people selling off. If you're not in this already, if you are in this already looking for long term, you're willing to kind of go through this small dip of people with weak hands getting out after earnings and selling their news, taking profits if you are in this for the long term. However, if you are not in this yet, we could see a little dip after the earnings release to try to come down to this then support around the 18.90 or $19 mark. That would be some good value here. We would then be looking to take it up here to the 50 EMA around 23. That would be your first profit target. We could then see maybe around this area to come up. We'll probably enter back into this zone if we do get a break of the 50 EMA, enter back in this area, this range, and then hopefully break out of that. And we don't really have any, past price action in this area other than here. It didn't really come above $28. So be very wary of that area. There's a lot of, empty wicks kind of entering there and not being able to hold. But this is kind of the long term, what I'm looking at. Let's kind of look at the shorter term for anyone looking for some, trades in this kind of area. But yeah, it looks like we came above the 200 EMA on the 30-minute, kind of in this area, this range, and it looks like we may come down to retest this kind of area here on the 50 on the 30-minute. So we're going to be looking at a pre-market open here around 2025. If we do come back down, cross below the 50 EMA, we could then create this as a support. So this is an area to be cautious of. If all things go well, we could definitely see this to come down, retest this as support, not be able to break through, and then come back up to the upside. We'll then be looking to take our first profits probably around this kind of area, around the 200 EMA. And then anything after that, we'll be using our daily support around here to be taking up to 23. So if you're in this kind of shorter term, just kind of explain, I'll give you guys a visual of what is going on in my head. So I kind of see this stock coming back down to the 50 EMA. And then once we get a good kind of close rejection off of that support, we'll be taking our first price target around there, and we'll be moving stops just below the support, just in case price does not go our way. We do not want to be in the position any longer, and we want to protect our profits. We don't want to go into drawdown on our accounts. So I recommend you guys always use a stop loss and definitely try to protect your capital as much as possible. The only person that can protect your capital is you. So make sure you are doing it. As always, I am not a financial advisor. I cannot tell you what to do. These are for entertainment purposes only. So make sure you are protecting your capital and using your due diligence. But moving forward, if we do get a price to come up to here like we want it to, we will then be taking it up to our next price target here around 23. And we will also, so price would move then up to here. We would then also be moving our stop loss just below candles, below support to kind of give us some leeway. But yeah, if price does start to go back down into this range, we don't want to be messing around with it. If you are day trading, you just want to get your profits as soon as possible. So I recommend trailing your stop loss to ensure profits just in case price does go back down close to your entry point. But I think that's all I have for you guys today. If you found value in this video, if you like this content, please give a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you know whenever we have a new video coming out. I also have my Instagram link down below if you would be interested in that. But as always, guys, I hope you guys have an excellent day, get some gains in the market, and I will see you next time. Peace.